Hi, I'm Victor Cho, and welcome to episode 0 of the Victor Cho Podcast. This is going to be a series of discussions around technology and humanity, which for me is an incredibly important topic, maybe one of the most important that we face right now in our society. And before I tell you a little bit about this podcast, I'm going to start with just a quick anecdote and a name. Ned Ludd. Do you know who Ned Ludd is? I'm guessing you don't, but you know the movement that sprang from his activity. So in England in the early 1800s, this was when the Industrial Revolution was coming through. Ned Ludd was a very famous weaver, right? Somebody making textiles by hand. And of course, what was happening at that point in time, machinery, technology, automation was replacing all of that. And he was really the marquee figure in a movement of individuals who were trying to fight that technology. They were afraid of it. They went into businesses and burned down machines. In the end, they had to be squashed by over 12,000 British troops. This is more troops than the British deployed in many of their armies and in many of their wars and battles. And of course, that movement got quashed. But what remains is this term, Luddite, from his name. Right? You might have heard this term, a technology Luddite, someone who's afraid of technology. And I have a simple goal with this podcast, which is we're entering one of the most transformative periods in terms of technology, accelerating technology. I think it's very important that we have discussions and understand what are the implications of that technology and what it means to be a human being, which is ultimately what technology is for, right? Technology should be in service to us living more vibrant, fulfilling lives, not something that destroys our humanity. So why does the world need another podcast? There are a lot of podcasts out there. This is a particularly unique moment from my perspective where we're seeing, especially with the advent of AI into the society, we're going to see an acceleration of how these technologies are applied and how we use them day to day. And again, these things can enhance your lives, they can amplify your lives, or they can be things that we're afraid of. And I'll give you a crazy example. So I am a father, I'm a husband, and I actually had a remote job for almost 7 years. I was living in the Bay Area. I was flying to Los Angeles. This was when my kids were very young and these beautiful young ages, between call it 2 to 10 years old. And I would spend time with them as a robot, a telepresence robot as they were growing up because I was doing so much traveling. And that seems crazy, but literally imagine, 2 girls and my wife sitting at a dinner table and a robot, a big iPad on wheels, right, rolls down the kitchen because I'm sitting in a hotel room, right, and it comes to the table and I can sit at the dinner table as a robot, have a discussion, be in two-way conversation. I was able to spend so much more time with my girls as they grew up because of that technology. And it's might have seemed scary to some people. People thought it was very strange. It was a gift for me to have that given my work cadence. And that's just one example where these technologies can be scary, but they can also be incredible. So let's understand them more. Let's dissect them. Let's understand the implications. That is the goal of this podcast. I have 4 simple goals that I'd like to deliver with all of these podcasts, or maybe you can think of them as principles in terms of who's going to come on to the show, what are we going to talk about. But those 4 things are, number 1, I'm going to do my best to find really industry-leading folks that are at the forefront of this technology, this technological change. And they're not all going to be technologists, right? This technology ripples into our society in ways that influence our psychology, our health, etc. So whatever the field is, I'm going to try to find the best possible guests, folks that you maybe don't hear from on a day-to-day basis. I want to keep those conversations fact-based, number 2. So I'm a huge believer in objectivity. It's fact-based discussion. I don't want a lot of agendas in here. And if I start to feel that, I will ask the right questions. For you, the listener, want to provide something that educates and inspires you, right? So hopefully it's worth the amount of time that we allocate to the discussion. And maybe the most important thing, I would love for you to walk away from every discussion with what I call a golden nugget of some kind of a rethink or an epiphany of, oh, wow, I didn't know that, right? Or I hadn't thought of technology that way, or oh, wow, I can apply it in this interesting way. That would be my goal and my hope. So you probably haven't heard of me necessarily. Maybe some of you have. I am a longtime tech CEO, so I've run multiple online businesses over my career. But maybe I'll start from the beginning, since hopefully we'll be spending a lot of time together, getting to know each other. So I'm Korean American. I was born in a small town, actually a small farm town, which is kind of crazy, outside of Cleveland. I didn't believe it was a small farm town until someone told me once, like, you were born in a small farm town. And I'm like, no, I was born, yeah. I looked at the map in a small farm town. But of course, I grew up, and I've been lucky enough to experience really 4 transformative technological waves over my career. So I started my career at Microsoft in the early days, and I've worked at large companies, small companies. I've done multiple startups, been the CEO of now 3 businesses. Evite, online invitation network, you might have heard of that. Photo, and these businesses have reached millions or hundreds of millions of people. But the 4 waves that I've seen, right? I started my career when the multimedia PC was not a thing. Like, the PC was just coming into the world, right? When I was entering my career, which was so exciting because, of course, it has transformed work, right? The internet was second transformative wave. In 1995, I was at Microsoft when there was a famous memo from Bill Gates to the entire company saying, this transforms all software and we need to be ahead of it. And it was clear to me, yep, we're going to be on everyone is going to be on a connected network. That's going to change everything. Of course, the mobile wave that happened in the mid 2000s, and now the AI wave. So there's a lot of change. In many ways, I am expecting the AI impacted wave to be the biggest. It's one of the reasons that I started this podcast now. Yeah, in terms of, I think the other most important thing for you to understand about me is I call myself the anti-tech bro, tech bro. So tech bro has a very negative connotations here in Silicon Valley. And it took me a long time to figure out, like, why does it have such a negative connotation? And it's funny, I got a call at probably like 1 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m. My college friends called me one day and they said, hey, Victor. I was like, well, what's wrong? Like, is everybody okay? And they said, hey, we think you're a nice guy normally, but secretly you might be a tech bro, like at work. Are you? And I thought that was so funny, but I thought it was such a great question because, right, it was clear there's this negative energy in the system around these technologists that are broy. And so, I have my own simple definition of what a tech bro is. And it's somebody who just thinks that technology is the end all be all of the world. And that's the goal. Like, their goal is to I'm going to bring this technology because it's just amazing. And they lose sight of the fact that technology is in service to us. It has implications and ramifications, has downstream impacts, right? Of course, there are tremendous downstream impacts of many of the technologies that are ubiquitous today, whether it's device overuse, right? There are great uses for mobile devices, great downsides as well, right? And so this idea that as a technology leader, you need to, yes, be passionate about your technology, but you need to think about all of what are called stakeholders, right? Who are all the people that are impacted, whether it's your customers, your employees, the society broadly. And that is really what drives me at my core. So you can think of me as a technologist. I'm passionate about technology, but this idea of balance and stakeholder impact, and who is being improved, whose lives are being improved, but whose lives are being harmed. This is really foundational to who I am and what I'm passionate about. So I look forward to a number of interesting guests as we bring them on. I hope you join us. The final comment I have is I'm a huge believer in feedback. So we will have a number of feedback channels open. Please contact me. We'll actually have links where you can literally contact me directly. We'll take your feedback. We'll make action out of it and hopefully make this something valuable and useful for all of you. This is the Victor Cho Podcast. We hope you listen in. Can't wait to have you join in these amazing discussions, and we will hopefully see you soon. In addition to running this podcast, I'm also the CEO of Emovid. In business today, it's impossible for anyone to tell what digital communication is real versus AI generated or modified. This is a huge issue that we have actually solved at Emovid. Emovid is the only guaranteed authentic asynchronous communication platform that has been built for business. If your business relies upon relationship and trust building, this is a must-have platform for you and your teams. Please check out emovid.com at emovid.com. Or even better, if you can see it, scan the QR code and you'll get to see the product in action and even get a special podcast offer. Thank you again for listening.